Five.
Five is the number of the day.
Welcome to the Fan2Fan 5-Minute Fridays, where we talk about a topic, a movie, a TV show, anything that we're interested, passionate about for, give or take, 5 minutes. I'm one of your hosts, Bernie Gonzalez, and in recent episodes, we've been talking about director John Carpenter. Halloween, The Fog, Escape from New York, They Live, all great movies that have meant a lot to myself, to fellow co-host extraordinaire Pete Charbonneau. We grew up with these movies. We rented them. We watched them late night on cable, watched some of them in the theaters, and many of the guests that we've had on have been influenced by Carpenter's movies. But anytime we talk about John Carpenter, we really need to talk about one of the most important collaborators in his filmography, and that's Debra Hill. Not only was she a co-producer and co-writer on Halloween, 1978's Halloween, but as John Carpenter noted, she was a real pioneer in this business, in the movie industry. As John Carpenter himself said, unlike many producers, she came from the crew ranks. She had experienced the ins and outs and had a thorough understanding of what it took to make a picture. She had a passion for not just movies about women or women's ideas, but films for everybody. Horror films, action films, comedies. Debra Hill was certainly a pivotal, critical part of any conversation that revolves around John Carpenter. And as we've talked about Carpenter's movies, Fan2Fan all-star Joshua Pruett shared some of his thoughts regarding Debra Hill, her contributions, and more. Take it away, Josh.
I think one of the things that I think about with some frequency, especially post-October, because rewatching Halloween 1, 2, and 3, we love Carpenter on this show. In retrospect, people have not erased her name, but I don't know that people give the love to Debra Hill that she is deserving of, particularly when it comes to co-writing Fog and Halloween 1.
What I like about horror films is the fact that they really get you to react. For me, the films were a way to kind of leap from reality into some sort of great fantasy. One of my first jobs was a script supervisor working on a movie called Goodbye, Norma Jean. And then I met John Carpenter when he directed Assault on Precinct 13. And I was his script supervisor and assistant editor. And then we decided to collaborate on Halloween.
And one of the things that is much discussed is that largely the essence of evil and all the Donald Pleasant stuff, that was, largely things that John's jurisdiction was.
Irwin Yablans actually came up with the idea of setting it in Halloween. And we were searching for a story, what could the story be? And because we were very limited, in fact, they wanted babysitters. So, and I'd been a babysitter, and I had all these great stories. But when he called and came up with the brilliant idea of using the themes of Halloween to tell our story, it was like a gold mine. We went to a list of scares. Like imagine if, you're in bed with your boyfriend and he goes down to get some water or Coke or something and comes back with a sheet trying to pretend he's a ghost. But it's not him. It's all these kinds of things that we wrote down, all these scares. And then we decided to weave the scares into the story.
Basically, it was a complete 50-50 collaboration.
I wrote the first draft, laying in the kids, the teenagers, the teenage talk, the girl talk amongst each other. And John came back with a pass for the Sam Loomis character, which was played by Donald Pleasance. So all the stuff about evil and everything is really John's.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Debra was literally bringing her babysitting experience to bear when she was rendering these young women. And I rewatched, the first one recently and was just so taken by how approachable, relatable the three women are, and where nothing else is going on. You've got Carpenter's music and the car drives by, but all their dialogue is so funny and they're so mean to each other. And so we're so engaged.
I thought you were babysitting tonight.
The only reason she babysits is to have a place
Shit. I have a place for that. I forgot my chemistry book.
So who cares? I always forget my chemistry book and my math book and my English book and my French book. And, who needs books anyway? I don't need books. I always forget all of my books. I mean, it doesn't really matter if you have your books or not. Hey, isn't that Devon Graham?
I don't think so.
I think he's cute. Hey,
Can't you take a joke? You know, Annie, someday you're going to get us all into deep trouble.
Totally.
I hate a guy with a car and no sense of humor.
And I think one of the things that's interesting about looking at the rest of the stuff that Carpenter writes, either on his own or with somebody else, the priorities tend to not be that. And I think a lot of the strength of that first movie is the magic that Debra brought to that. So when you combine those things, it's the best sandwich ever, right? You've got all these different elements and flavors. And I think when you're looking at things like They Live and Prince of Darkness, or you're even looking at like Ghosts of Mars, you're seeing this other unfettered part of Carpenter and the things that he prioritizes. It's different. And it's not necessarily bad, but it is a little bit of a departure. It is a little thinner than I think we would want, or even that we are accustomed to.